So I am almost done watching Dead Rising 3 gameplay, and while things are fresh in my mind, I wanted to point out some crazy stuff that's just really interesting, especially if you know about the 12 tribes and the protection that the 12 tribes are going to get, the 144,000, and them being protected by the Most High in those times of Jacob's trouble, etc., etc. So interestingly, the main character that you're playing as, he has a number 12 on his neck. Out of all of the numbers you could have, he has number 12. And there was another guy, he had 49 on his neck. He was Hispanic and he was in the military. And the interesting part is, it seems like he was one of those guys that, like, I feel like they play on a couple of different things because he was, like how they're going to make a lot of give these laws where people that are just entering the country, in order for them to get citizenship, they'll be able to, do that through being in law enforcement and or the military. So that was really interesting. But he ended up turning, and so while you're playing the game, the guy with the number 12, the main character, he gets bit. And so normally they say that people are supposed to change, but regardless, he just started healing. And later on, the scientists that what it seemed like it was alluding to was there was like maybe like 50 different people, and they were all orphans, and they all got experimented on. And for some reason, she said, "You won't change like the other ones," and like insinuating that he was special. So it was really interesting too, because he also, the character that you're playing as, he seemed to have more than normal human abilities and intelligence. He was building, he can just build stuff up. They always would look to him for his leadership and stuff like that, and he'd build things up. He, healed and everything like that. So it's really interesting because it seems like it's talking about, it's alluding to some of the biblical stuff about the sealing of the ones that are going to be protected at the end times. I'm trying to remember everything because it was so much. There was a interesting picture that was talking about where the outbreaks were going to happen, and it said like a major one was going to happen in Las Vegas and another one in Colorado. And the interesting part was that the only places that they named were those places, meaning like on the United States map. They even had a United States map where they showed like different places that were hit, Texas, et cetera, et cetera. But even the places they are located in, I think it's supposed to be a play on Los Angeles. But the interesting part is on the little history lesson they were giving on the thing, it was showing that Las Vegas was going to have a major one and Colorado was going to have a major one. And so through those outbreaks, they were saying like you had to get the device put inside of you, because there was a law passed once people started changing. So it was going to be a gradual situation. I'm trying to think, was there anything else that was really standing out? Because there was so much going on, and I'm trying to remember everything while I can, because what I think I'm going to do is I'm going to check out the first and the second game cut scenes as well to see what all was happening in those. Oh, before I forget. And so there was another situation where they were saying, the devices that we put in the people, and of course I'm using, the C-HIP. I'm using code words for that. So the devices that we put in people, they were going off, I think, at the times they didn't want them to be going off and causing certain mutations in people. And they said something about certain radiation, which is alluding to the 5G signals, I'm pretty sure. And it was just really interesting because even the zombies, they were saying like during night they were activated and stronger and etc. And their eyes started glowing red. And they also had these insects that they were flying around that were devices being used to control and monitor things. So I believe that once like the grid is down and stuff like that, they will have like remote AI devices as well as remote things that will help regulate and control the zombies. Because what they were doing was, while you're during the gameplay, they would have the people doing things, and then all of a sudden you would see these glowing insects that were obviously mechanized with these red bulbs, and they were flying around and controlling the zombies at different times. So even when it comes to AI as well as these bunkers, these elites would be doing the same thing. They'll be monitoring and controlling groups of these zombies. And so they were showing even the bugs getting destroyed, and when they get destroyed, it would like malfunction the zombies and stuff like that. There was also people constantly injecting themselves with this serum that supposedly kept them from changing. But like I said, this is all pre-programming, I believe, so that people would eventually do these things and think it's right, but it all leads to the same thing, which is the way to turn is with that stuff. Because even in the game, they're talking about, hey, I thought the person had this device in them that's supposed to keep them from changing, and in micro doses, which is almost like the nanotechnology, where they said they can make and design any medication needed into your bloodstream directly. So they've already talked about this in real life. And so when it comes to the video game, they already are talking about things that they've already worked on and talked about, and inside of the injections, the pokes, they already supposedly put that in there. But the main thing was, it was going to be martial law, and that if you didn't get that, then you were called a illegal. And if you were illegal, you wouldn't be able to do certain things in society. And people, and they had like signs talking about reporting people that didn't have the device in them, and that it was illegal to not have the device inside of you. But like I said, in the video game, they've specifically had sidebar conversations where they were like, hey, I thought the device was supposed to keep you from changing, but then people are changing and stuff like that. There was also something else I noticed in the game. Like, you never really see anybody specifically get bit and change. And this is exactly what I was talking about in some of my previous videos, where I was saying I believe that they're pre-programming people to just start killing each other, instead of knowing that, hey, when you get bit, it's just going to be an injury. It's not going to really change you. And so even in the game, you never see anybody specifically change. You always see people get attacked and actually ripped apart, or something like that. And it's just always assumed, hey, you're going to change if you get bit. And these people are constantly injecting themselves with this serum. So regardless, they're still going to be pushing this pharmaceutical complex, where they're going to keep people brainwashed to thinking this is the health and this is what's going to keep you alive and well. Let me see. I think that's about everything that I've seen. I'm going to finish watching that video, and then I'm going to go into the first and second cut scenes, because I want to see when everything starts. Because it seems like on this game, it was like some outbreaks happened. They started changing society, and then while they're changing society, that's where they were saying, hey, get this device. And then they start putting the propaganda up everywhere, hey, get this device so you don't change it to a zombie. And so eventually they build up everything. They have the infrastructure where it's already kind of assumed that you need to have this device in you or else you'll change. Somewhere in between that, it seems like they have the cyber attack, because then that's when communications seem to not be available. And then that's the gameplay that I'm watching now, where planes were falling out the sky, just like Leave the World Behind. And there was people fighting for survival. There was people grabbing people. There was anarchy. There was a agency that was already there that was helping get rid of zombies and stuff. And oh, this is another thing. So there was another. I did a video on this too, where there was a guy that was he was talking about the actual training that they were doing for the zombie preparedness stuff, Complan 888848. And sorry, I'm trying to get rid of the echo. So the preparedness plan. And so during the preparedness plan, I listened to some of the training and what they were doing when it came to their SOP, standard operating procedures. And part of it was that if they send in guys to an area that of infected, they were not allowed to leave. And so after they clear out the area, eliminate everybody, etc., they are supposed to be assumed to be infected, and they are not supposed to leave that area. They're supposed to be there. And so in the gameplay, the Hispanic guy that was like a captain, he had modern day ACUs, which is also interesting. I don't know what time frame this game was created, but it seems like it was really old, but it's just really interesting that they have our modern ACUs there. And so he was saying, hey, we were quarantined, they weren't allowing us to leave, and so I went AWOL, I left. And so it's just really interesting that they have a lot of these specific details in the game, and I'm not sure what time this game was created. But like I said, once I do some little bit more research and stuff like that, I will update everybody more on what I find out. But yes, thank you for watching, and we'll be back with more.